Today, the analysis platform will feature a brand new Titan of proportions never seen before, dwarfing Kong, Scar King, Godzilla, and even maybe the current largest Titan in the Monsterverse, Ghidorah. That's right, Shimo has entered the Monsterverse. Make sure you stay warm because things are about to get chilly. Coming up, Titanus Shimo Explained. Shimo is one of those Titans that was more or less leaked long before an official reveal whenever the figure started appearing in stores. But as many of you know, Shimo was actually teased long before any of these leaks confirmed it as an actual Titan in the Monsterverse. Back in 2022, Call of Duty Warzone launched Operation Monarch, featuring a map where players got to interact with Godzilla, shoot Kong in the balls, and witness some really cool Easter eggs throughout the map, including this one. This particular cave art featured Godzilla squaring off against a really large and at the time unknown monster. Most people speculated this to be a random piece of placeholder artwork, but others suspected this was a new kaiju yet to be released. These suspicions turned out to be true, as rumors of a massive kaiju with crystals on its back began to emerge. Eventually, this would be known as Shimo, the massive and first Titan in the Monsterverse lore. Interestingly, this is yet another example of a franchise introducing their inevitable big white-colored addition to their roster of creatures. Take the Indominus Rex, for example, Ice Age's Rudy, How to Train Your Dragon's Bewilderbeast, just to name a few. Now, in the Monsterverse, we have Shimo. Official information about Shimo is really limited as of now, but by looking at its abilities in the most recent trailers and also knowing what its full body looks like, we can make some really well-educated guesses as to how this creature behaves, what its proportions are, and how it fights. Having said this, here's a potential spoiler warning before you proceed. Compiling all this data, we'll go ahead and bring forth a good speculative model of what Shimo actually looks like in our analysis platform. Meanwhile, how about we take you behind the scenes and take a look at how Goji Center's editing and research team surfs the internet to make these videos. This is the Opera browser, and these guys came up with Tabfulness, a state where you don't need to lose your mind and struggle with a browser with lots of tabs. So they created the perfect stress-free browser. And on Goji, to work faster and to keep things streamlined, we like to use the Opera browser, categorizing each tab into relevant groups like shopping, videos, news, anything. All the social media related content is in this tab island. All other stuff like our scripts are in this other tab here. And here's where we did some online shopping. If you want to save space, just collapse an island, move tabs around by clicking and dragging, and save a ton of time and stress without getting overwhelmed by a million tabs. Cool, right? New to Opera? Just sync your data from another browser with one click. This stress-free browsing will help you achieve tabfulness. Instead of yelling at your computer because you suck at organizing tabs, you can just relax, navigating through your tabs stress-free. Just click on the link below and browse stress-free, ad-free, private, and most importantly, secure. Unlike Planet Earth, who is about to feel the wrath of Shimo, she's ready for viewing. And here she comes. That's right, Shimo is confirmed to be female, the mother of all kaijus. We'll explain this more later in this episode, but for now, let's cover some physical attributes of this monster. For this episode, Goji Center collaborated with Dope Pope, who not only provided us with an excellent 3D model of Shimo for your viewing, but also the one responsible for designing Titanus Tiamat, also rumored to appear in Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. One piece of footage that helps us understand how colossal this Titan actually is this clip seen in the trailer. It's been shared around the internet quite a bit, mostly because it does a really good job at showcasing how big she is. On all fours, it seems like Shimo rivals the size of an upright, evolved Godzilla. Now, at this point, when this episode is released, there isn't an official size for evolved Godzilla, but our best guess is that this evolved form did get a bit taller, at least while standing upright. Now, if we use this clip as reference and scale Shimo, we see that this Titan can not only be close to as tall as Godzilla, but also capable of rearing up and being much, much taller than any Titan in the Monsterverse. To give you fun speculative comparisons, we can compare this with some of the largest kaijus in the franchise. Lengthwise, we have a Titan like Tiamat, who is said to be 847 feet in length. Compared to Shimo's mass, it seems like Tiamat is outclassed in every single aspect. Keep in mind that Tiamat is no pushover. Probably one of the strongest Titans currently, but now embarrassingly small compared to Shimo. Another big fella is Titanus Methuselah, 322 feet tall at the shoulder, capable of having lots of different geological formations on his back. Shimo seemingly dwarfs Methuselah, even with the mountain that he carries with him everywhere. Ghidorah, for instance, is a whopping 521 feet in height. Much taller than Godzilla, but Shimo, if reared up, can look down at Ghidorah and bite off its 3 puny heads with one chomp. Kong, come on now. We have a very special theory coming up that talks more about this. Just keep watching. Because of this gargantuan mass, we will speculate that this is automatically the heaviest Titan in the Monsterverse known so far. Much of the weight might come from the denser portions of the body, such as the crystals on her dorsals. The arrangement of these crystals is suspiciously similar to those of Godzilla. Arranged along her back, coming all the way down to the tail, these could serve a very similar function as Godzilla's dorsal plates, lighting up while powering up its main weapon, or simply serving as an intimidation display as well. In default form, these are a mixture of purple and blue, but we could guess that these can light up to different colors, probably solid blue, purple, or white perhaps, matching its lighter skin, which in conjunction could serve as camouflage in frigid areas. Here, for example, most people will not even see Shimo from afar, because her coloration in this clip blends in with the frigid environment she's surrounded by. Okay, so it's evident by now that this kaiju is synonymous with freezing temperatures and special abilities that exploit freezing elements. For example, notice in these clips that the mere presence of Shimo is cold enough to freeze the surrounding environments. It's evident by now that Shimo thrives in some sort of cave veiled by lava waterfall. Even in this really, really hot environment, Shimo, upon stepping out of the cave, is so cold that even her presence will freeze the ground that was moments ago burning hot because of the lava. Her presence alone could even offset the temperature of this place, making it more habitable to the great apes that live here. This
Whoa! Whoa!
This cold phenomenon is mind-blowing already just by her sitting around. Now imagine getting touched by this thing. Her body temperature being this cold could even make her impact more powerful. Let's study this a little bit more. Given her proportions and the colossal size of these limbs, especially the front ones, will make any melee attack from Shimo a lot more deadly. Her arms alone are massive enough to outclass literally any other kaiju in the Monsterverse in frontal combat. Yes, probably even Godzilla. Just look at the difference in reach. This impact, along with the frigid temperatures, will spell doom to whoever makes contact with this kaiju, freezing any body part, risking frostbite, which so happens to be an actual name of one of the abilities, Frostbite Blast. Before we break down this ability, let's move down to a weapon that can kill with one impact, the Thagomizer. This ferocious-looking weapon is seemingly made out of the same material as its dorsal spikes, formed in a way that can look like sharp obsidian blades. These, mounted on a long tail powered by these hips, can wind up enough energy to fatally lacerate any, yes, any kaiju with just one hit. Seeing this thing come at your face is nothing but certain death. Even without any additional abilities, Shimo seems nothing but unstoppable. But there's more. In the trailer, we were introduced to Shimo's Frostbite Blast. This clip begins with the trail of a blast that was already fired towards Kong. Kong regains his footing and grabs his axe to see if he can block this shot in the same way as he blocked Godzilla's atomic blast back in GVK. This ability, unlike Godzilla's, cannot be fully absorbed by the axe. Just a little bit, though. However, the cold freezing effects of this Frostbite Blast prove to be too much for Kong, who gets knocked back hundreds of feet while he feels his arm get covered in ice. Appropriately named Frostbite Blast, this ability injures Kong to the point of needing to be equipped with the Beast Glove. This clip showcases his injured arm underneath. Frostbite has the ability of rendering the affected muscles useless, injuring them to the point of permanent damage. So in this film, in order for Kong to continue fighting, he will strongly depend on this apparatus to give him a fighting chance against any kaiju. This dangerous ability comes out of this animal's colossal head and mouth. Proportionally speaking, this animal is technically large enough to potentially grab any of these great apes and easily bite their heads off, and freezing them in the act. So now that we have a pretty basic understanding on what Shimo can do, let's try to figure out more of the dark side of this Titan, its lore, and its most dangerous ability. The synopsis of Godzilla Kong: The New Empire reads that both Godzilla and Kong face a colossal threat hidden within the planet, challenging their existence and the survival of the human race. Now that we know who Shimo is and what she's capable of, this synopsis makes total sense now. After all, Shimo is said to have started the Ice Age thanks to her ability to change the climate. This may be her most destructive ability after all. Note that we didn't say anything about weather manipulation, but climate manipulation. There's a big difference. Let us explain. The term weather refers to short-term atmospheric conditions. Examples of this are rainy days, occasional snow that falls during the winter, hail, thunderstorms, sunny days, etc. Climate, however, refers to weather patterns by region. For instance, if you live in Florida, you're probably accustomed to predominantly warm climates. Those who live relatively closer to the poles will experience fresh climates year-round. The thing is, Shimo here has the ability of changing climates, and this is a huge deal. Remember, something capable of starting ice ages can manipulate the atmosphere in a given area to turn cold. Rio de Janeiro, for example, lies within a tropical climate. Temperatures are fairly warm year-round. Summer down here falls between December and January, while winter runs through June to August. Enter Shimo to the equation, and she can potentially switch things up permanently. Not just here, but around the globe. That's right. This is what the synopsis means when it says challenging the survival of the human race. How? Can't we just put coats on and be fine with a little bit of ice? No. Frigid climates like the one seen in the Ice Age will completely change up the dynamics of human survival around the world. To very quickly and simply explain this, let's ignore for a moment that a colossal kaiju is roaming around killing everything and focus just on the effects of an ice age. Humans need food, yes? Well, guess what? A lot of the agricultural goods produced around the globe are going to be unable to be grown. Some areas will be too cold for living. Eventually, most of the planet would be freezing, making most land inhospitable for human life, comfortably at least. Overcrowding will occur, and resources would get alarmingly low, causing death tolls to rise due to starvation and self-inflicted attrition. An abrupt ice age like this would not give us any time to prepare for impending doom, and a lot of human life on the planet will be lost. Yeah, that's Shimo for you, a walking weapon of mass extinction, currently doing the bidding of Scar King. Oh yeah, this brings us to some of the deep lore we promised to explain. This monster, as powerful as it is controlled by Scar King, or is by one way or another under the influence of this great ape. Speculations are all over the place on how this relationship works, but we'll go ahead and guess it has something to do with this crystal found at the very tip of the whip, which, if we look closely, resembles something that belongs to Shimo. We'll guess that Scar King some long time ago stole possession of this crystal and mounted it on some form of subjugating weapon, such as this whip, which in turn sort of acted as a way to bond Shimo to Scar King's will. We discussed how a titan like this could already dispatch lots of different kaijus, and if it was turned against the great apes, it's no wonder how Scar King was able to amass a giant army of apes, using Shimo as a way to intimidate others, used as a power symbol to amass the following of an ape army, and execute those insubordinate apes that don't seem to collaborate. So in a way, Shimo is similar to what the Rancor is to Jabba the Hutt, both as a means of executing by making the victim an example of him, and even as some evil form of entertainment. Can this link be broken, though? If we're speculating that Shimo is under the control of Scar King, would it be possible that Shimo can be in some way liberated? Maybe. If we entertain the idea that this crystal has anything to do with this link, the destruction of it may imply that Shimo is free from Scar King's influence, and perhaps turn on its captor, who previously had it doing stuff that may or may not have been things Shimo would normally do, using the whip as either a way to tell it what to do, or even calling Shimo by name. Oh yeah, don't think just because these animals are kaijus, we'll throw out the possibility that Scar King can talk. This is a wild card, but there's no mention as to how Shimo was named, even though the word Shimo means pit or hole in Swahili or ice or frost in Japanese. This word is suspiciously similar syllable-wise to Suko, who happens to also be part of this ape tribe. So it is possible that these great apes perhaps communicate verbally amongst each other, associating names to individual members of the clan. Those of note at least, and one definitely given to Shimo. This is a theory, but one definitely plausible to a sophisticated clan of great apes.